Hey everybody, it's friendly neighborhood Canadian Spider-Man here again. I just found this nice spot, and I'm going to try out my new tent. It's a hot stove tent, and this is the wood stove that I'm going to set up in it, and see if we can have a nice warm tent to do a bit of winter camping in. It's not too cold out now. It's actually a couple of degrees above zero, but it'll get cold tonight, and so we'll see how this performs, how this goes, and how easy it is to set up. This little spot I found a few days ago should make a good spot to try this out. So I'll get it set up, and we'll carry on from there. Thanks. Okay, everybody. Yeah, flattened out the area. I set out the tent. I pegged it down. I put out the support strings there, lanyards, cables, whatever you want to call them, the support lines. And I've made it so that, I mean, they're adjustable, right? The lines are adjustable. It's about to put up the center pole. This comes with one aluminum center pole that's it sort of folds out. It's all connected, and it folds out, and it's a good, solid, sturdy pole. So we'll see what it looks like with the tent up. All right, that looks pretty good. I've got vents here that have sort of Velcro, sturdy, rigid stanchions, and they just sort of set in place. And there's a Velcro receiver on the tent, and since they are rigid, they sort of hold the opening vent flap open. Same on this side. And this is the only door into the tent, which I'm fine with. And this is where the chimney smokestack goes through. And I have a fiberglass mat that is heat-proof, fire-proof, and it Velcros in place right there. There we go. So that Velcros right up and off. All four sides have Velcro. And there's a little toggle, similar to the toggles that are holding this door flap open. It just sort of fits in the loop that's all built in, and it holds the flap up and out of the way from the chimney pipe. There we go. Tent goes through there, or the stovepipe goes through the tent at that location. Here it is. Here's the chimney pipe right here. That's the stove. It folds up. We'll get to that. But here's the chimney pipe. Alright, it comes with a damper. See, there's open. Then you twist it, and there's closed. So you can damper down the pipe. It's a little dirty. I did run this once last week just to test it out and burn it in. I burned it in outside of the tent because there were oils on it to prevent it from rusting and so forth in packaging and shipping. So I wanted to burn those off while it's not inside the tent. So that's why it's a little discolored and burned looking. All right. That is the chimney cap that goes on top. It's sort of a spark arrestor arrangement on top. And here are all the rings that hold this sheet metal together. And this is a pretty compact and cool design. And they did include gloves with this kit so that you could handle this sharp stainless steel with gloves. I recommend it. And so if I fold this along lengthways, that becomes a 7-foot chimney pipe. So we will see how she goes. I wanted the tall, I think you can get a 6-foot version. I wanted the taller version just to have more draft out the chimney and get the sparks. By the time the sparks that may escape the chimney, by the time they fall down that extra foot and touch the tent, they're a lot cooler. So that'll prevent damage to the tent. So here we go. There's the pipe. I'll set that up, and I'll start setting up the stove, and we'll have a look at that and see how it assembles. I'm pretty impressed with this. I don't know. That's more than enough space for one person in there. I'm more than happy with that. It's set up pretty easily, pretty straightforward. And I'll just let you take a look at the inside here. Now, this came with it is that little, I'm going to call it a nest. That little insert. See, the stove is going to go here on the ground, right? And then up through that vent. And then this is where I'm going to sleep, and I'm going to be able to put bacon right on the frying pan from my bed. So it's got mosquito netting around, and of course, and it just clips up to that loop that's included. It's got another loop over here on a little toggle. It just goes through that loop one-handed. Probably not one-handed. But anyway, you get the idea. It goes through that loop. And then this comes up. And you see that's reinforced quite nicely where the pole is inserted. And there's a loop that this hooks onto. There you go. And I'll get the toggles, but you get the idea. I'll get the toggles in a minute, but so there is where the sleeping pad, and it's all got the mosquito netting, not that there's many mosquitoes this time of year, and it's got a nice heavy bottom that's waterproof, and I'll set my sleeping pad, my Thermarest sleeping pad, and my sleeping bag on top of that. The wood stove will go right there, and I will be able to cook breakfast from bed. It looks like it's a waterproof tent. It's thin. It's not going to hold in the heat like an insulated house would, but I think that's going to be warm and comfy. So anyway, I'll get it set up here, and we'll start to assemble the stove, and we'll see how that goes. I'm impressed so far. And this is, for those of you wondering, this is a 1 Tigris. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bjorn. He's an outdoor woodsman that is, he's got a couple of videos about these hot tents. He's based in Norway. Fantastic guy. Shout out to Bjorn. If I hadn't have seen your video on this, I wouldn't have known anything about hot tenting. Awesome. We'll get the stove set up and see how that goes. It's compact and light. I think it weighs about 4 pounds, that version. The titanium are lighter, but more expensive, so I went with stainless steel. Okay, so there's the stovepipe set up, going through the hole. Let's open up the stove. See what we have here. Okay. Those instructions we probably don't need. There is the unit. Right there. And, oh yes, the fiberglass. Fiberglass mat that velcros on around the pipe. Should be pretty straightforward. Yeah, there you go. I didn't have to cut it. And again, that is 1 Tigris as well. Yeah, I bought these. They did not send these to me. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just testing this out and see how she goes. I think I should just Velcro in place. Velcro, so I'm told, was invented by a Canadian. Sounds right to me. We have a lot of free time that we have to sit inside and can't go to the beach, so it makes sense that we would invent stuff such as this. Alright, that looks pretty fireproof. Now the hole is still bigger than the stovepipe, so I don't want it to be touching if I can help it. Alright. It's all Velcros together, nice and easy. That looks like the top. That's where the frying pan goes. That folds out. That folds out. This folds up. And there's a little indent in that top rim, and that sort of nests the side piece right into place, and that sort of locks it in, just like that. And then these side clips fold over and lock it into place, like so. Okay. Like so, and just like that. And then these legs fold down and out. Okay. And this obviously is where the stovepipe goes through, and that's a bit of a spark arrestor as well. So that goes to the back of the stove. And it's a little out of square just because I had some pretty good heat going in this last time. The one time I fired it up just to burn off the oils. And that clips into place. And that also, seat it properly, should also clip into place. Cold fingers. There we go. That one goes into place. The last one clips in, and there we go. You can get a fair sized piece of wood in there, or quite a few of them, and I've been told to strip all the bark off of them, off of the pieces of wood, and make sure they're nice and dry, and that way you'll get virtually no smoke coming out of here. This door shuts. It's got a latch like that. It's got the see-through glass, which is really good. I wanted to be able to see the state of the fire without having to open the door all the time. And then it's got a little vent draft at the bottom to allow more air in. So now there are 4 slots on the top of the stove that is a receiver for these 4 flanges of metal that sort of slide in and twist in place. Sort of goes down there, twists and locks into place. Now, that's fairly sturdy. I'm laying inside here. My frying pan goes right there. I can feed the wood. My wood pile will be can't really see my face. Yes, my wood pile will be right here and perhaps some behind. And I can sit in bed. Frying pan goes right on here. They do have a smaller version, but I wasn't sure it would take a full-size frying pan. So I got the longer version. I believe this is about 14-inch or so. And so it's got lots of space for a frying pan on top. That heats up really quickly. Once I start a fire in here, within 30 seconds, if you touch your hand, bare skin to this surface, it's going to burn it off. It'll stick to that and you'll be missing skin. So, there we go. That's the tent and the stove, easy to set up. Now, it does have rings at the top so that I can attach stabilizing guy wires out to the sides, and I probably would do that even if it wasn't windy, just because, you know, it wouldn't hurt. Those flanges are pretty small, and when you have a 7-foot lever, yeah, you can maybe twist them pretty easy. So there you go. Lots of space for me. Stove's right there. I think that's going to be cozy. Yeah, I think that's going to be great. So I'll give it a try, and I'll do another video, and you'll see with it going, and see how she goes. I think I'll spend the night in here. All right, have a good evening, and yeah, I'll see you soon. I'll try and swing by your neighborhood if I can. Bye. Hi everybody, it's your friendly Canadian Spider-Man here, just with a follow-up. I've got the fire lit in the wood stove here. I'm just using this kindling here. It's all split up, it's nice and dry. This happens to be some cedar and some fir. And yeah, the smoke is coming out of the chimney just fine. It's going to heat up this tent really, really nicely, I can tell. Yeah, and it takes quite a bit of wood. It's got pretty good storage in there. And this one comes with a glass window on the door with a vent that controls the amount of air that gets in there, so you can have a bigger flame or a smaller flame. I'll probably, so far what I found is I just leave those vents wide open, and it burns the best, I think. But yeah, that's hot as heck. If I put my hand on there, it's going to burn. So this has been going for maybe 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes. And yeah, there's a lot of heat coming out of there already. Doesn't seem to be bothering the fiberglass Velcro patch there that protects the rest of the tent. And that's going to dry out the tent nicely here. We got a little bit of rain overnight. But there you go. And I can just be inside the tent in the sleeping bag and angle the stove maybe a little bit towards the sleeping area. And that way I don't even have to get out of bed to feed the fire with my wood pile right there, and I can keep it close to the stove and dry it out as needed. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed with it so far. That seems to be going pretty well. So yeah, so far, from what I can see, I think that's going to keep the tent nice and warm all night in there. I'll just show you how nicely the smoke comes out of the top vent there. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, that's rolling right out of there. I have attached 2 guy wires up there to help stabilize it. There is room for 3, but I just put 2 for this little test. But yeah, so far so good. So yeah, I recommend the stove so far. It looks like it's going to do quite nicely. Have a good afternoon. Thanks.